Chapter 1. First Impressions. The Bennet family lived at Longbourn, a comfortable house in the English countryside. Mr. and Mrs. Bennet had 5 daughters but no son. Because of the law governing the estate, the property would one day pass to their cousin, Mr. Collins. Mrs. Bennet, therefore, thought constantly about finding suitable husbands for her daughters. When a wealthy young man called Charles Bingley rented Netherfield Park, Mrs. Bennet treated the news like the beginning of a rescue. At a local ball, Bingley appeared friendly and cheerful. He danced twice with Jane Bennet, the eldest and gentlest sister, and everyone noticed his admiration. Bingley's friend, Fitzwilliam Darcy, produced a very different impression. He was richer, taller, and more reserved. At first, people admired him. Then, he refused to dance with strangers and spoke as if the company were beneath him. Elizabeth Bennet overheard him, dismissed her as not attractive enough to tempt him. Instead of looking wounded, she laughed and repeated the story to her friends. Yet, Darcy soon began to notice what he had missed. Elizabeth's face was lively, her conversation intelligent, and her confidence unusual. She had already decided that he was proud. He meanwhile found himself increasingly interested in the woman whose opinion of him had never been lower. Chapter 2. Netherfields and New Connections. Jane was invited to dine at Netherfields. Mrs. Bennet, hoping bad weather would make her stay overnight, sent her on horseback. The rain came and Jane became ill. Elizabeth walked several muddy miles to care for her. Bingley admired her loyalty. His sisters, however, mocked her untidy clothes. Darcy saw something stronger. She valued her sister more than appearance. During the days at Netherfield, Elizabeth and Darcy argued about pride, character, and human weakness. Their conversations were sharp but controlled. Elizabeth believed she understood him. Darcy enjoyed being challenged. Neither recognized how much attention they were giving to each other. Soon, a militia regiment arrived in the nearby town. A handsome officer named George Wickham quickly won Elizabeth's trust. He claimed that Darcy's late father had promised him a good position in the church, but Darcy had cruelly kept it from him. The story matched Elizabeth's existing opinion, so she accepted with little doubt. Then Mr. Collins arrived at Longbourn. He was a clergyman under the protection of Lady Catherine de Bourgh, Darcy's powerful aunt. Since Collins would inherit Longbourn, he decided that marrying a Bennet daughter would be a generous act. He first considered Jane, then turned his attention to Elizabeth. He spoke more about duty, property, and Lady Catherine than affection. Elizabeth saw danger behind the comedy. Other people were planning her future as if her own judgment did not matter. Chapter 3. A Practical Marriage. Mr. Collins proposed to Elizabeth with complete confidence. He listened his reasons for marriage. It was proper for a clergyman, it would make him happy, and Lady Catherine had advised it. When Elizabeth refused, he assumed she was only behaving modestly. She had to repeat her answer firmly before he understood that she meant it. Mrs. Bennet was furious. Marriage to Collins would keep Longbourn in the family and protect Elizabeth's future. Mr. Bennet, however, supported his daughter in his own dry manner. Elizabeth knew she had rejected security, but she could not promise a lifetime to a man she neither loved nor respected. Her friend Charlotte Lucas made a different choice. At 27, with little money and a few opportunities, Charlotte accepted Collins. She did not expect romance. She wanted a home, social position, and a manageable life. Elizabeth was disappointed. But Charlotte understood the rules of their world more practically. At the same time, Bingley suddenly left Netherfield. Jane tried to hide her sadness. Elizabeth blamed Bingley's sister and suspected that Darcy had separated the couple. When she later visited Charlotte near Lady Catherine's estate, she met Darcy again. His behavior confused her. He called often, listened carefully, and seemed uncomfortable whenever they were alone. Elizabeth believed he disliked her. In fact, he was struggling against an admiration he no longer knew how to control. Chapter 4. The Proposal That Failed. One evening, Darcy came to the house where Elizabeth was staying. After a tense silence, he declared that he loved her and asked her to marry him. Yet his proposal sounded like a battle he had lost. He described her family's lower connections and admitted that he had tried to overcome his feelings. Elizabeth was astonished and angry. She accused him of destroying Jane's happiness and of treating Wickham unjustly. She also attacked the proud manner of his proposal. Darcy had expected surprise, perhaps even gratitude. He received a direct refusal and a painful account of how his behavior appeared to someone he respected. The next morning, he gave Elizabeth a letter. He admitted that he had persuaded Bingley to leave Jane because Jane's calm manner had hidden the depth of her feelings. He also explained Wickham's history. Wickham had been given money instead of a church position, had spent it, and later tried to persuade Darcy's very young sister Georgiana to run away with him in order to obtain her fortune. Elizabeth read the letter again and again. She did not suddenly decide that Darcy was perfect, but she recognized her own error. Wickham had pleased her while Darcy had offended her. Therefore, she had judged their stories by emotion rather than evidence. For the first time, she examined her certainty instead of defending it. The discovery was uncomfortable, but it was also the beginning of wisdom. Chapter 5. Pemberley. Months later, Elizabeth traveled with her aunt and uncle, the Gardiners. They visited Derbyshire and toured Pemberley, Darcy's estate, only after being assured that he was away. The house was elegant without being showy, and the surrounding land seemed both beautiful and natural. Darcy's housekeeper described him as a generous master, a loyal brother, and a man respected by those who depended on him. Elizabeth had expected servants to fear his pride. Instead, she heard evidence of steady kindness. The contrast between Wickham's easy charm and Darcy's private conduct became impossible to ignore. Darcy unexpectedly returned. Elizabeth prepared for coldness, but he greeted her aunt and uncle with careful politeness. He introduced Elizabeth to Georgiana and treated the Gardiners as welcome guests, not embarrassing relations. His manner had changed, yet he never demanded praise for changing it. Elizabeth began to understand that character is revealed through repeated actions. Darcy's first proposal had asked her to accept his opinion of himself. At Pemberley, he allowed his behavior to speak. Her feelings moved from dislike to respect, and from respect toward something warmer. She also realized that refusing him had mattered. Her honesty had forced him to examine his pride, just as his letter had forced her to examine her prejudice. Chapter 6. Lydia's Crisis. The visit ended suddenly when Elizabeth received terrible family news. Her youngest sister Lydia had left Brighton with Wickham. They were not married, and no one knew where they had gone. In their society, the scandal could damage the reputation and future of every Bennet sister. Elizabeth blamed herself for keeping Wickham's true character private. She told Darcy what had happened and assumed that any hope between them had ended. Darcy listened seriously, then left. Elizabeth returned to Longbourn, where confusion and fear had replaced Mrs. Bennet's excitement about marriage. Mr. Gardiner went to London to search. At last he reported that Lydia and Wickham had been found and would marry. The family believed Mr. Gardiner had paid Wickham's debt and provided enough money to secure the marriage. Only later did Elizabeth learn the truth. Darcy had located the couple, paid the necessary expenses, and arranged everything quietly. He had acted partly because he felt responsible for not exposing Wickham earlier, but also because he cared for Elizabeth. Darcy did not use the rescue to win her. He tried to keep his involvement secret. This mattered more to Elizabeth than a public display could have done. His action protected a family he had once criticized and helped a sister whose behavior he had every reason to condemn. Pride had not vanished, but it no longer ruled him. Chapter 7. Second Chances. Bingley returned to Netherfield with Darcy. He soon visited Longbourn, and his affection for Jane was unchanged. This time Darcy did not interfere. After learning that Jane truly loved his friend, he admitted his mistake to Bingley. Bingley proposed and Jane accepted with quiet happiness. Then Lady Catherine de Bourgh arrived without invitation. She had heard a rumor that Darcy might marry Elizabeth, believing Darcy should marry her own daughter. She demanded that Elizabeth promise never to accept him. Elizabeth refused. She would not be ordered by rank, wealth, or family expectation. Lady Catherine left in anger and reported the conversation to Darcy. She intended to discourage him, but her story gave him hope. If Elizabeth had been completely unwilling to marry him, she could have said so. When Darcy and Elizabeth next walked together, Elizabeth thanked him for helping Lydia. Darcy admitted that he had done it for her. He then asked with greater humility than before whether her feelings were still the same. Elizabeth told him that they had changed. Their second understanding was not built on a perfect first meeting. It was built on correction, honest speech, and the courage to try again. Chapter 8. A happier ending. Elizabeth and Darcy became engaged. Their families react in very different ways. Mrs. Bennet was overwhelmed by Darcy's wealth. Mr. Bennet was more careful. He had always valued Elizabeth's intelligence and asked whether she truly respected the man she planned to marry. Elizabeth assured him that she did. Jane and Bingley formed a gentle, trusting partnership. Elizabeth and Darcy's marriage promised more argument, but also more growth. They had learned to value each other's strength without ignoring each other's faults. Georgiana came to admire Elizabeth, whose warmth made Pemberley less formal. Not every character transformed. Lydia remained careless, Wickham remained unreliable, and Lady Catherine remained offended until time softened her anger. Charlotte continued to manage Mr. Collins by arranging her house so that she could enjoy as much peace as possible. Austen's ending is happy, but it does not pretend that every foolish person become wise. The deepest resolution belongs to Elizabeth and Darcy. She learns that intelligence does not protect a person from prejudice, and he learns that status does not prove worth. Each became capable of seeing the other more clearly because each first becomes capable of seeing the self more honestly. Their love succeeds not because they were always right for each other, but because they learned how to become better.